And welcome back, guys, to the Ghost and Friends YouTube channel. Thanks for being with us here on this Sunday night. We're going to tell you why Texas is winning the national title while we're going, 15-0, not losing a game. We might not give up a point. But no, in all seriousness, man, it's been fun to hear reports, see some clips, of the first week of camp. Obviously, the guys been at it. We don't have any major injury news to report. So that's a really, really big thing for us already. But again, it's early in camp, still a long ways to go. Shout out Nash Talks Texas dropping the super chat here early on in the stream. Jared Tett being in the building. And of course, Mr. Orlando wouldn't be the same if Orlando wasn't in here. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. Y'all throw a quick like on the video. Let's talk some ball. No ass will be shake tonight, NBA Horn Boy. Sorry for that. First things first, man. Last Sunday, we got on here and we talked about the running back room. Kind of talked about how I thought it might play out. Obviously we had two big injuries last year, Cedric Baxter, Christian Clark, right before, we got things popping. Everybody talks about Cedric Baxter right now from a health standpoint. He looks great, still wearing the knee brace. Last Sunday, I shared the opinion that we were not going to see a lot of Cedric Baxter early in the year. I wouldn't be shocked if he didn't play, honestly. Coaches are going to say what they say. Coach speak. You think Texas is going to sit here right now and just say, hey, Ryan Day, yeah, Cedric he's good for X amount of carries. That and also there's still time before that game. He can get healthier. That you never know. It's a leg injury, so time will tell on that. I still see it as if Cedric were to play in that game, 20 to 30% usage at most. I'm talking about as far as out of the total carries that Texas backs have. I don't expect to see Cedric being like the bell cow or anything like that again until later in the season if that becomes a reality. Christian Clark. I kind of gushed over Christian Clark. Appreciate you being here, brother man. Coach Bryce doing the good things at Texas Lutheran University. But talked about Christian Clark, my love for him. Part of that's going back to last year and not getting to see him on the field like we thought we would. It felt really dang good, man, to start seeing, the big guys, the big reporters, the real reporters inside Texas, on Texas football, start reporting and saying, hey, like, this guy might be the most explosive running back on this team. He might be the most Bajan-like back that is on this team. And that felt good for me for being a Christian Clark fan. Not that I want to pat myself on the back necessarily, but just happy that he looks the way that I know that he can look. And so excited to see the running back room, man, because I think, again, from a national standpoint, it's being quite underrated. I really do. You got Trey Wisner, who, again, two big games, Clemson and A&M, kind of, it drew some eyes. People started to say, hey, okay, outside of Austin, who is this number 5? Appreciate you being here, Barticus. Thanks for showing up and drop any questions about the Horns you may have. Or even your Aggies, man. I got you today. But back to football here. Trey's a dog, man. He's a football player. And so this job, carries aren't just going to be taken away from him, lightly. You're going to have to take that. Those are going to be earned in practice, going to be earned in games. And so, again, when talking about Christian Clark, we know that Trey Wisner has his trust. We know that we've seen Trey in Sark's offense. It's going to take some time for Sark to trust a Christian Clark who we haven't seen on the field yet, and even a Jarrett Gibson who looks incredible from a physical standpoint. Definitely a fan of the weight room. I told you guys he doesn't take trips, he doesn't vacation. He spends his time in the gym, and it shows, man. Again, weight room, does that fix protecting the football issues? Time will tell, but I can guarantee you, it's been at the forefront of his mind, and so we'll see a lot of Trey Wisner, and I think we'll see a lot of Jarrett Gibson in the opener. And then I think we'll see a little bit of Cedric Baxter. We'll see a little bit of Christian Clark. And I think that's the way the coaches want it. And again, even if Cedric's 100% healthy, and I was saying last week, he would need to be 110% healthy for me to even play the guy because it's going to be a long season. And we probably need all of our backs. I think we have potentially the best platoon running back system that, we might have had quite a dang while, man. The last couple of years has been fun. When we had Roshan, Bajan, you had Keelan, like that. That's a lot of speed. That's fun to look at. But yeah, so probably went a little long on the overback or on the running back room. But long story short, great first week of camp. Absolutely, man. That first scrimmage notes and seeing the live action and really kind of getting an idea who's about it. These are college football players. We know they're all about it, but as far as on this particular version of Texas football, it's going to be fun to see. Um, which wide receiver do I think will be a surprise this year that people aren't talking about? Well, I mean, I know that everyone's talking about Parker Livingstone, but he's still going to surprise people that don't follow Texas the way that we do, guys. From a national standpoint, I think that Parker is going to be he will be well known. He's a guy that I easily 7, 8 to 10 touchdowns, a great route runner. I'm not going to say deceptive speed, but I think that all of you guys probably think that he can fly, man. So it's going to be a lot of fun to see Parker in action. And from what I can tell, Parker and Arch, they have quite the rapport, and chemistry matters, man. And so Sark is a brilliant offensive mind, and he's going to understand that as well. He knows that. And so it's going to be fun to see what Arch and Parker do. But I mean, it sounds like Dalen McCutcheon is really earning and fighting his way into some reps with the first group at times and second group. And I mean, that's impressive, man, because how many people talk, Joshy? Hey, thank you for the super chats, guys. Really means the world, honestly. Um, it's Khalil Lockett and Jamie French, and it's just Parker was kind of a guy that not lost in the shuffle, man, but there's just so much talent in that room, and didn't really know exactly where he fit. Big body, big frame, and big target, be great in the red zone. And so I think Parker's got a lot of chance. But then going back to Dalen McCutcheon, man, that guy with all the other freshmen coming in around him, it wasn't the name that I expected, honestly, to hear the most from the freshman group in week one. But again, it's just week one. Still early to tell. I think we'll be surprised with Emmett Mosley from Stanford. Not a guy that's just going to like wow you from an athletic standpoint compared to the receivers that we've had in the past. But that possession type receiver, a guy that's going to be a chain mover. But let me tell you this, man. And reports have been, they've been high on the guy since it was announced that he was coming over to Texas. You go back, you watch his film, and you're like, this man looks like he belongs in a Steve Sarkisian offense. And we referenced him last week, but Jack injuries. All right. This Jack is a dog. Okay. Rocking number 88. I love Gunnar Helm. You guys know I had a massive fan crush on Gunnar Helm, and shout out to Blake Helm, who was a good friend, and obviously did a really good job there with Gunnar Helm and his development and growth throughout their relationship. But I look forward to having Blake on here, talk a little bit about Gunnar and with the Titans. But Jack injuries, guys. I'm going to throw a name back that we haven't heard in a long time, but 20 years back now, David Thomas. All right, think about David Thomas. What were his strengths? All right, always in the right spot at the right time, knew how to get open. But most importantly, he always caught the damn football. He always caught the ball. David Thomas very, very rarely had drops. And I think we're going to see something like that type of hands, that type of possession tight end who also can leak out and create the big play. But I think we're going to be very, very impressed overall by Jack injuries. And legitimately, I'm throwing. I mean, that's a hell of a comparison. You're talking David Thomas, 11 catches in the 2005 national title game against USC. Jack injuries, all SEC. Let's go ahead and start. Let's go. John Mackey. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and make that prediction for the guy. I mean it with my whole heart. I I don't throw out predictions, lightheartedly or just without, or maybe just on impulse. Oscar Delp, Georgia, good player. I think he's a tight end nightmare or mismatch nightmare from that standpoint. He's going to be really damn good. But I think the Sarkeesian offense and then the weapons around him, you can't cover everybody. And Jack's going to be a big mismatch here in the SEC play. I can't wait to see Jack in action. It's been really good to get to know Robert, his father, a little bit, talking ball. And those guys are very, very excited to be a part of our family and a part of what Sarkeesian has built and just this culture, that the Texas football feels really good to be a part of right now. And a lot of people want to be a part of it. And the injuries are included. So can't wait to see Jack in action. I think Jack could very well lead the team in receptions. I feel pretty confidently about that, to be honest, because there's a lot of different bodies at wide receiver that are going to, share the football a little bit. As far as yardages go, won't make that prediction, man, but I wouldn't be shocked at all. Absolutely wouldn't be shocked to see Jack lead us receptions and yards. I think he's just going to be a nightmare. with that being said, God, I miss Gunnar Helm. What a guy. What a family. The hurdles, the pointing after first downs. Gunnar just bled burnt orange, man, and he went through the fire as a youngster being in Austin, and so it is hard to talk about the tight end room without paying a little bit of an ode to Mr. 85 himself, Gunnar Helm. We miss you, buddy. Matt, hey man, I really appreciate it, buddy. Thanks a ton, man. Means a lot. Super chats. What newbies do you think are going to be an immediate impact like Colin Simmons was? For one, I think that it's really hard to answer that without doing a bit of an injustice to Colin, because I think Colin, we haven't had a type of freshman impact on the defensive side of the ball like that. I mean, Anthony Hill was pretty dang good as a freshman. Colin, man, he kind of got worked in very very early, and then just took over and dominated. I don't know if you guys saw, but there was some Sooner fan that was bringing up R. Mason Thomas's numbers. Who R. Mason Thomas is a dog and a great player in himself, but was comparing the two's usage last year and their production and their relative snap counts. And Grok settled the score on the Sooner, flipped it on him a little bit, but point is, he's special, man. And so I don't know if we see anybody impact this team in that way. There's been a lot of people talking about Grayson Littleton at star, which is Texas's nickel position, just for you who don't know. But even with that, I expect to see, and the inside Texas guys as well, they kind of expect to see somebody a little more experienced start the opener, considering who that opener is against. And you have a Carnell Tate, and you have a Jeremiah Smith in that secondary. And so, you hear Grayson's name a lot. You hear Dalen McCutcheon's name a lot. Justice Terry is, a guy that everybody, being a 5-star plus athlete, you start thinking like, yeah, that guy probably ready to go. But you got to look at the guys in front of him, and it's not just the situation where, he's just going to hop in and get a ton of reps immediately as far as end game reps. There's legitimate bodies in front of him, all SEC type cats. And so, again, man, the edge room will nice little lead into the edge room. I mean, everything you hear about the edge room is just it's as good as it's ever been. I honestly think that this is the deepest, most talented edge room that Texas has ever had, and I don't know if it's even particularly close. But the big news with the edges is, last year our second leading sacker, our second leader in sacks, Mr. Trey Moore, playing more off-ball linebacker, a spot that he played a lot at UTSA under Jeff Traylor, and a place maybe a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more at home. Myself, I trust Coach PK. I trust these coaches on the defensive side in particular. They've got a lot of things right over the last couple of seasons, so I'm definitely not going to start questioning them now. And what does that do? That moves Arkansas off-ball transfer linebacker Brad Spence, backing up Colin Simmons at Buck. And so Colin is a superhero, yes. But again, everybody needs breaks. It is a long season. We've referenced this before with Colin Simmons and Brad Spence, but Brad's going to get some run. And Brad is a really dang good player. Colin Simmons is maybe in his own category as far as edge rushers go. But I definitely anticipate Brad Spence being very dang good, in a backup role. And Texas is going to blow teams out. But not everybody. I'm not sitting here saying that, but you know what I mean. Everybody is going to get run. These freshman wide receivers, they will get run. New defensive backs, guys that, maybe we're trying to figure out exactly how they fit here and there. Everybody's going to get run. So it's going to be exciting to see. But again, man, Colin Simmons is going to be a special guy to watch. I've got the over-under on 11. I think the group chat was saying 11.5 sacks, and I went ahead and said 13.5, which is probably a little bit silly. But what do y'all think? Colin Simmons, double-digit sacks. Is that like one of the safest locks in Texas football history? But hey, even for a pass rusher, things have to go right at times. You do have to get a bit lucky because it just takes, like that, and all of a sudden he's gone or the ball's away. All the things that can happen. My brother Bryce is asking, which group do I think is the best, worst position group on each side of the ball? I think pretty obviously on defense, I'm going to say that the edge room is going to be the best. I feel really, really confidently about the defensive tackles. Feel really confidently about the linebackers. And so by default, man, I guess I have to say secondary, but that's only because we don't know exactly how it's going to play out. They're going to have a lot of different packages. We've seen them tinkering. Michael Taft playing a little bit of star. Jalen Gilbo's in a dogfight at corner with Warren Robertson, with Kobe Black. Shout out to Connolly Cadets, Waco, Texas. And so it's oh, I'm only saying that because I don't know exactly how it looks, brother. But I expect a very productive unit out of that secondary. One question is like, do they have the ball hawk skills that the last secondary have? Are we able to create the same type of turnovers that a Jade Barron and Andrew Makuba, they had their hands on the football quite often. And so I think it's going to be fun to see. I think I'm really, really excited to see Jordan Johnson Rubell ball out. I think that is a guy that Texas fans maybe are sleeping on a little bit, and I think he earns a good bit of run throughout the year. But again, it's just a prediction. And whoever Texas has out there at safety is doing a damn good job because competition in practice is top notch. And again, if you're starting out there on Saturdays, if you're playing the bulk of the reps at your position, you've earned that. And so again, we as fans, we're gonna have to trust them on that. As far as the offense goes, the best position group, it's tough, man, but I'm going to go with the tight ends. I really am. I have a lot of trust in Jack Andrews. I have a lot of trust in Jordan Washington, the weight that he has put on, his ability to get out as a pass catcher, as a receiver, but also help in the run game. 12 personnel likely to be a big part of Steve Sarkisian's blueprint on offense this year. And so I can't wait to see, what exactly that looks like. But again, you're splitting hairs here. I think the quarterback room is going to be dang good. I really do. I think KJ Lacey has had a great early start to camp for a youngster. Trey Owens came out and Inside Texas reported he had probably his best practice in burnt orange. I want to say that was Wednesday. Sarkisian challenged these quarterbacks once Matthew Caldwell came in to like, hey, like go win that second spot. I know Kodak, I get you, brother. I'm with you on that. It's tough, man, and I just don't know exactly how it plays out. Who gets all the reps? We know Ryan Wingo is going to be a dog, and we know DeAndre Moore is going to be a dog. I'm just a big fan of what that tight end room is going to do in the run game. I think they're really going to be beneficial in that department. But yeah, again, you're splitting hairs here, man. The wide receiver room, whether it's Parker Livingstone, whether it's Evan Mosley, maybe Dalen McCutcheon gets run. I said in the springtime I thought Khalil Lockett would probably be the most impressive freshman as far as in our eyes as Texas fans during their freshman campaign. But it's a good time, man, because you look at this team and it's really hard not to get arrogant, get a little cocky talking about the horns because they just I can see it, man. I'm going to make some weird takes. I'm always going to be the oddball here. I do think that the running back room is still being underrated, man. I truly, truly, truly do. So yeah, I'm with you. Running backs would like a word again. Underrated. I'm glad y'all are telling me now that the running backs room is underrated. When I was telling y'all that 15 minutes ago. So I'm glad. I'm glad that we flipped. You're right. 900 yards. I'm with you, Tommy. Thanks for being here, brother. But yeah, what about you guys? Who do y'all have as the best position group on the offense and defense? Who do you have as the worst position group on the offense and defense? And it's really, really crazy. And I called him Khalil and not Khalil. Apologies, Joshy. It is crazy to have this conversation, to ask this question, now compared to maybe 4 years ago under Sark's first year. You start thinking about that tight end room, and you think about Gunnar Helm being out there as a young freshman, early in his career at Arkansas, week 2, and you've got Gunnar out there starting in that game. And again, mad love for Gunnar. It's just we have guys now in every spot where we're ready. We're not going to be super inexperienced. And like my guy Sam is saying here, I'm not sleeping on the offensive line room. I know there's a little inexperience. Okay. You have a couple new starters, but Cole Hudson, listen to Kyle Flood talk about Cole Hudson. He's ready and very excited to see Cole Hudson play football. Called him one of the smarter players he's coached. Cole has a lot of experience. DJ has a lot of experience. Okay. Now, how do you not see what Mike Gooseby did last year in some big games, big moments on our way to a playoff run, and think like, oh yeah, we're just going to drop off massively at left tackle? And I don't want to sound rude to Kelvin Banks. I'm not trying to. Kelvin's a dog. Gooseby can be a dog too, So it's funny how we as fans, me, I need to see it. I need to see that offensive line ball. But again, Kyle Flood, Sarkisian, everything is clicking, guys. We're developing, and so this is burnt orange on burnt orange on white. We gotta. That's a hell of a comment, Mister Tally. I'm afraid I'm not gonna address that one unless it's the most impressive super chat. But yeah, that's a strong one. Sorry, I lost my train of thought for a moment. But overall, guys, we're gonna have a good team. Schedule's still difficult. You go to Ohio State, you go to Florida. DJ looks okay. There's a new injury report, I think, every day. I don't know what's going on with all of that, but it's a deceptively difficult, schedule. Oklahoma gets Kent State the week before they get Texas. A&M gets Stanford the week before they get Texas. We have a road game at Florida before we get OU. Uh, I believe another road game before we go to Kyle or before A&M comes to DKR. And so, I mean, yeah, Texas fans, we probably sound a little arrogant for the next month, but I promise you, I know that this it's going to be a dang good team, but it's still a team that could go 10-2. Okay, a team that could go 10-2. I'm cool with it. Put us in the college football playoffs. We're still rolling. Just please beat Georgia. I need to beat Georgia. Um, who's losing more this season, or who's losing to Texas by more this year? The answer is Oklahoma. I've gone back and forth on the Sooners. I think John Mateer, obviously a massive improvement at quarterback for them. Offensive line is going to be better. It would need to be a hell of a lot better to, in my opinion, hang with even one score of Texas on that second Saturday, October 11th. Inside of the Cotton Bowl. I just don't see Oklahoma having the juice. I like the front seven of Oklahoma. I really do. R. Mason Thomas, the aforementioned R. Mason. He's a hell of a player. Got plenty others. Eli Bowen news in the secondary is a little bit sketchy, a little bit suspect. Uh, you know, if Eli is fine and able to go, I still think that's a pretty productive secondary, probably top 30 to 35, 40 in the country. But again, I just looking at what Oklahoma's up against, I don't think they have enough improved juice in this short time that they've had since last year to combat with Texas. I really don't, and I think A&M's going to be pretty dang good, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Lock in A&M, in my opinion, to be a top 15, a top 20 offense. I think the offensive line will be good enough. I like Le'Veon Moss at running back, but similar to Cedric Baxter, similar to Christian Clark, I think it'll take a little time. It'll take time to see Le'Veon Moss. I'm with you, Rod. I schedule too hard, man. Hey, man, I didn't realize we had any Sooner fans in here. Appreciate you being here, KRJ. I really try to believe I have the utmost respect for the program, man. Bob Stoops beat our brakes in and earned that respect. But it's really, really hard to see that much improvement when you consider the fact that now you have Michigan in week 2 or week 3, whatever the hell that game is. I think it's week 2. I'm going to be there, going to Sooners in Michigan, September 6th. But it's just really hard to see that massive improvement that it would require to win 8 or 9 games. In my personal opinion, I'm putting Oklahoma at 7-5 or 6-6. Yeah, they're gonna win a conference game, man. Come on, that front seven is pretty dang good. You can clip it all you want, Bart, about the Aggie thing. I genuinely think that offense is going to be legit. I think Marcel will have improved enough as a passer. Combine that with the experience of the offensive line, inexperience at the offensive line and quarterback around the rest of the conference. And you gotta like where A&M's at there. Go back last year with Texas, very very experienced offensive line coming in, very experienced quarterback, albeit controversial at times. And we had that going for us, and I think that's one of the pluses for A&M this season. Again, you're going to play in a lot of one-score games, Bart. There's going to be some damn good comp, and you're going to have to step up and make plays down the stretch the way that y'all didn't do with, South Carolina, Auburn. You get one stop there in the third quarter of that South Carolina game, and you're still in that, and just it didn't happen for you. And then obviously the Auburn game, how that played out, man. I'm not trying to twist the knife here. I'm just explaining why I think y'all are gonna have a chance to be pretty dang good, but you're gonna have to win in nut cutting time, man. Yeah, but give me Oklahoma 6-6, 7-5. I'll decide later. I'll do a whole preview, all that fun stuff. Man, I'm a big Michigan guy. I really am. If I wasn't a Longhorn, I think I would be a Wolverine in life, and for that very reason, considering Oklahoma is Oklahoma, I just can't root for OU. I'm not a conference pride guy. I'm never a super cheer for my neighbor type. I can't do it, man. I want bad things for the rest of the SEC. I don't give a crap if national pundits are sitting here screaming that the Big Ten is the best conference in college football. I don't care if they are. I want what's best for Texas. The Big Ten's never gonna, in my opinion, surpass the SEC. But time will tell. They've already done a good job in the last couple of years of closing that gap. They won a couple titles. That does. A&M's offense is better. Defense is worse. 9-3. Now this is my big hangup with A&M. I can't decide if I want 8-4. I can't decide if I want 9-3. I think the offense has like a 10-2 ceiling. But the defense, I think there's enough question marks there. I guess time will tell. We'll find out. Elko's he's a defensive coach, yes, but he coaches defensive backs, guys. Like that's what he's known for. And so I think we do see some type of improvement out of their secondary. But I mean, how much is it improved? Because last November they were really bad. Quinn didn't necessarily take advantage of it. Texas kind of went ground control in that second half because A&M's offense didn't have a chance. But and again, I know Bart, but that's a matter of fact. Okay, y'all were cooked. Um, I think that's why we saw Sark. Keep the ball on the ground, run the clock. He knew what was at stake for that game, and you don't want to let A&M back in it, which we did anyways. But so yeah, I mean, hard to see the defense for A&M with losing who they did, being as productive as they were last year. I want to say they're the 34th or 35th overall unit in college football. It's hard to see that. But again, Elko, man, he put out some damn good defenses at Notre Dame. He put out some really damn good defenses at A&M under Jimbo Fisher as well. And so I'm not going to discredit that man because he's working with talent that's equal or potentially superior to what he's ever had. They some talent there, just inexperienced. And again, man, he is up against it. I don't envy Mike Elko taking the Texas A&M job when he did, because you have a Texas and a resurgent program coming to light, as well as all the other tough battles that you have every week in the SEC. And so, good news for them, I guess, is Brian Kelly struggling a little bit over there at LSU. As far as I'm talking all this from a recruiting standpoint, but Elko overall, man, I think he's recruited better than I anticipated that he would. But again, it helps that Oklahoma and LSU are a bit down. We talked about that a little on last week's show. What we all do, man, it directly affects one another and has an impact. So I will definitely be rooting for, obviously, the Sooners and Aggies to combine for 24 losses would be cool, but very unlikely. If y'all have any other questions regarding camp with Texas, anything that we haven't talked about, please drop it in the comments now. If you haven't done so, like the video, share the video, tell a friend to tell a friend. We'll be back tomorrow night. Of course, one more thing I want to talk about is the special teams. Mason Shipley. This is, man, whole different world, guys. Bert Auburn, inconsistent. We love Bert. Bert did good things for this university. Definitely improved as a kicker throughout his time, and then just had a rough final campaign as a Longhorn. Mason has been very consistent. Coaches are pleased from what I know. But then Mr. Jack Boomeister. Jack Boomeister, fun name to say, but the Utah transfer is rocking the punch, man. He is absolutely sending that thing. There's clips of Jack, up in the mountains where the air is real thin, having a little over a 5-second hang time. I don't think he's quite doing that, okay, but still, it's going to be a big time improvement from what we saw in 2024. And you talk about the three phases of the game: offense, defense, and special teams. And Texas is in a really good spot, in my opinion, in all three. Just thought that was worth mentioning because, special teams potentially, it cost us a lot last year. It is what it is. KRJ and myself, Mr. Nash Talks Texas, we'll all be in the food court before Texas OU next year. Y'all come check it out. We'll indulge in a fireball shot or two. One of the things that I had never found up at the State Fair until last year, which was kind of hard to do, is I've been going for 20 years. But let me tell you, man, that for you guys that don't mind a cold beverage before, go take that frat fireball shot. It's a winner, I promise. Let's see here. I'm gonna scroll back up in the questions. Give me just a moment, guys. I'm not big on the fights. Couldn't tell you who's fighting. So drop some names and I might give you an opinion. But yeah, rarely am I watching the fights, my guy. I'm curious to see what happens with Ryan Niblett. He's got the heart. He's a dog, and it's just a matter of finding a spot on the football field where he can not outshine, but maybe just accompany some really elite talent, man. And so, as far as Niblett is, in my opinion, I think he's going to have his biggest impact on this team in the return game. I think he'll get a lot of run there. I know that there's talk about Trey Wisner. I know there's talk about DeAndre Moore. And again, those are two guys that we're going to see a lot of usage of out on the field, downs 1 through 3. So how often do we want to have them back out? Wouldn't be surprised, to see Niblet. There seems like they're really working at star there. They really want to find, uh, something they can trust, but they also are exploring and probably going to have a couple of different gadgets that they can go to in their back pocket, depending on scheme and personnel packaging from the other teams. So I still have Niblet as a wild card man. Biggest impact, in my opinion, and still be on special teams. Moving on, Mr. Nash. I think Cole's going to be good. I think without injury to himself, I think he might have been the Texas center for the last couple of years, and I don't think that's. I don't mean to knock Jake Majors. I think he went and took that job once the opportunity presented itself to him, and we miss Jake, man. Great family, Tracy. Shout out, Mama Tracy. Those are good people, man. And you missed the Majors a lot, but moving on, I think Cole's going to do a good job. Uh, not really undersized or anything for an SEC center. Could stand to have another 10 or 15 on him, but Cole moves really, really well. I think Cole overall does a good job. But again, man, we have so much leadership with Jake Majors, and there's so much experience there. I'm still curious and still want to see it before I have the confidence that I'm, trying to convince myself of with Cole, just because, it is essentially a new regime with that offensive line. And I know kind of contradicts what we said earlier because there's some turnover, or sorry, there's some continuity coming back. But yeah, Hudson's the dog, man. I'm with you. Like I expect him to do really well. I really, really do. Again, going back to what Kyle Flood had to say, raving about his intellect and just his knowledge of the game, the offense, and so let's see that. Let's see that on Saturdays, Mr. Hudson. Brother Sam asking if Arch has improved in the short and medium game. We know he's elite in the deep ball game. I would be shocked if Arch hasn't improved top to bottom overall at every level of the route tree or the passing tree. He's gonna have to at times, rein in the desire to chuck it deep and take those shots. We saw how often we see at Newman High School there him scrambling away from 3, 4, 5 defenders and then throwing off his back foot, 45, 50 yards in the air on a rope. And so, I think backyard football, he trusts his arm a lot. That's kind of his game, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Sometimes you got to tamper down, take what's there in front of you. If you've got a 2nd and 9 against a really good defense, you take that short stuff that, makes that third down, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4 in comparison to being a 3rd and long, maybe in 3rd and longer, you hold on the ball a little too long and take a sack on 2nd down. So, yeah, I think from what I've seen, from clips I've seen, I think he's improved. Again, you talk about putting a defense out there, running some RPOs, having to make those quick decisions, process very, very quickly. That's something that we won't be able to have answered until, in-game reps, until we get to the 31st and we're in Columbus, which, by the way, I've almost finalized my plans for Columbus, getting really, really excited. I hope some of you guys are going to make it. Definitely driving, though. It's going to be a hike. So let's see here, Mr. Talley. What did you ask? Returning punts. Aaron Butler is a guy from an athletic standpoint, very, very explosive. He kind of reminds me of the old Oklahoma receivers that they used to always just, for some reason in the 2010s, Oklahoma always had, a Hollywood Brown or give me another one, guys, a small receiver that just could fly, could move, could do a lot of things, return kicks. Obviously, Hollywood is kind of like the pinnacle of all those guys they had. But I'm a big fan of Aaron Butler. Again, from the jump, you're talking about a Texas team, or you're going to have some guys out there that you really want to have with some experience, with in-game reps, with trust, and knowing what they're doing there. But I think it's going to take a little time. But from an athletic standpoint, I think he's pound for pound the best athlete that we have in that wide receiver room. And so curious to see how it comes or it plays out. And big fan of Aaron Butler's. Again, if we saw him on special teams, I'm a fan. I like it. But special teams cost Texas last year in major ways. And so I understand going with the more experienced player, a little more trustworthy. And that's not to say Aaron can't be trusted. It's just that, we've seen Trey with the ball in his hands. We've seen DeAndre Moore with the ball in his hands. And again, I guess if Ryan Niblett has a good opportunity to return punts, then why doesn't Aaron Butler? So leave that TBD on that. But overall, man, feel much better about special teams. Quarterback 2. Again, I came here saying last week that I anticipated, I thought KJ probably wins that quarterback two job. Obviously, he can do things with his legs that Trey really can't. But then again, I think KJ, as far as coming into college, was a bit of an underrated passer. And I think this system fits KJ pretty dang well, to be honest. But then Trey Owens goes out and has a couple of great practices and really kind of turns some heads. And so it's a great problem to have when you're arguing about who had the better practice between QB2 and they had good practices. So we're in a good spot at quarterback two. But again, man, I don't want to see quarterback two outside of blowouts. I do want to see some KJ Lacey, to be honest with you, because I think KJ is going to be a big part of the future of Texas football. At the same time, Trey Owens is a dog. He's earned where he is in this program for a reason, and so you can't slight that man at all. He's the type of guy again who, with a couple of years under Sarkisian, not talking Mac Jones productivity, but hey, why not? Because Trey can make a lot of the big time throws, a guy that we just haven't seen do it, and so it's his turn, and it sounds like he, early on is going out taking advantage of it, but still pretty early in that game. Um, Experience there not really a factor for KJ since Trey, doesn't have the end game reps. So time will tell, man. Josh, you going to be at Texas OU again this year, so come by food court. It gets pretty crazy in there right before kickoff and very very hot. So we'll be doing some breakfast fireball shots. Y'all come on through. I don't know if you saw me talk about Brad Spence when he transferred over, Hornboy, but I thought Brad Spence was the best player on the football field for Arkansas on either side of the ball when Texas went to Fayetteville last November and walked away with that 10-point win. Big Brad Spence fan, man. There's a reason that the staff, took his transfer. And I think going down, it gives you maybe like that third down. You could, when, you got to get Colin Simmons off the field on, I don't exactly know if you're going to have him out there a lot on a first and second down, but again, I'm not going to pretend to know exactly what all packages PK is cooking up. I just do know that we're going to be very versatile and that he's going to be a part of it, man, because he could very easily just go right back out to off-ball linebacker, dependent upon the package. And so between him and Trey Moore and the different things that you're going to be able to do, it's going to be based upon opponent and based on personnel and what their skill sets are and who best addresses that and answers that problem for Texas, as far as, in my opinion, who is where between Brad Spence and Trey Moore. But obviously Trey Moore, you anticipate is on the field a lot more than Brad Spence. I'm very very positive about him and being a guy that can provide production for this defense. When we were watching them last year, or when we were watching that game last year, I was like, dang, this guy's, he's giving us fits. Who is 22? Why is he being a bit of a problem? All right, moving on. Brandon Baker, has he imposed his will, or is Kojo still hanging around? From what I know, man, it's a pretty open battle. They're really really fighting it out. It does concern me just a hair that it is not Baker's job, considered how heralded he was coming out of high school, coming out of a football factory like he did. I was really hoping he would impose his will, assert some dominance, grab that job, and run with it. And so maybe he will. It's his time. You got to go earn it. But again, respect to Andre Kojo is not, it's not backing down easily, and it's very, very, very well chance that he could win the job. And again, whoever Kyle Flood trusts, I trust, and we're going to rock it, man. And again, these guys on the offensive line, the legs of Arch Manning by itself, that will help this offensive line. Tickets for Ohio State, yeah. The Horns and Ohio State tickets are pricey, man. We were looking earlier and we saw some like Longhorn Foundation members had not donated, but they were selling their tickets, and yeah, they were pricey. I was like, we thought about it for about 10 seconds. So I'm getting tickets soon. I will be at the shoe. I cannot wait for it, man. This is not the best year for us Texas football fans that have the ability to go to a lot of the home games. And I don't mean that from like a flex, like, oh, I have the money to. That's not what I mean. But we have a location where right down the road we can always go. So I will be traveling a little bit this year. I will be going to some of these bigger games that are on the road. I really do. I hate for these, the seniors on this team. Some of these guys will play their last home games ever. And it's on this, it's in front of this schedule. And it's tough because, I think we're going to go in there and we'll dominate the schedule. But you want that big time, that Georgia home environment that we had last year. But we will get A&M at the end of the year. And that'll be, that'll be bananas. It'll be a circus. Everybody will be all fired up and ready for that. And so I'm gonna do my best to get to Ohio State. I'll be at Florida too, Oklahoma as well, and hey man, we'll just keep on rocking. Can't wait. We'll see about Georgia in November. I plan on it, but still a ways off, and who knows how much these other trips cost. But I appreciate you watching, guys. Thanks a lot. Just updating what I know from week 1 of camp. Again, real excited about this football team. Really, really confident, of course, but we still got to see it on the football field, live action with the Buckeyes on August 31st, 11 a.m. our time. A lot closer than it was a week ago. So appreciate y'all being here, man. Like the video, please. Share the video if you would. Don't, tell a friend, retweet, all the things. Most importantly, man, thank you all for the super chats. Thank y'all for all the support.